Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. I am doing a follow-up video to the one that I posted yesterday. So, in yesterday's video, I hope you caught it, I basically peeked behind, or gave you a peek behind the curtain as to what happens after I've done a thrift haul video and, you know, the camera stopped rolling kind of thing, and then what? So I showed you basically a bin full of some small items and said, okay, this is for filing. This is, you know, kind of went through where these different things were going to go. And there were several things that I just put aside and said, okay, I am going to work on these right now. And I started doing that, and then I thought, well, maybe you would be interested in seeing how that process was going. So just to save a bit of time, and we probably won't get through everything that I've got here, but just to save a bit of time, I did some pre-selecting off, you know, color choices, paper choices, and so on. So in addition to using what I had, so just as a reminder, there were tags, these flashcards, there were things like this, these dimensional sticker type things. What else? Oh, the infamous rub-ons. Well, let's start there because that's the very first thing I went to. Oh, I should also show you this. This was one of the first things I did. Again, where's some paper when you need it? There's some writing on that one. Brother. Okay, so I cut these things apart, and I think they are pretty hunky-dory. And of course could be tuck spot or pockets. So for the time being, these are just, this is how they're going to stay until I figure out where to use them. So that was one thing. There was, or maybe I should deal with this first. I said that there were these little guys, and actually some of these as well, that could have been the basis of some dangles. So I just, I pulled in some fabric scraps that I had off to the side, used this one and a bulb pin, and that is that. On this one, I had some of these papers that I had salvaged from envelopes, like if I removed a stamp, for instance. I thought these were kind of cute for something. So I used one of those. I used this guy because the colors were right, and I used that little die cut thing. So these are cute, and I would say that they are done. But those darn, can I say darn? Rub-ons. OMG. Okay, this was the, remember there was some packaging from the rub-ons. So I glued this paper on. It was one of those paper mouse pad type things. And then I thought, oh, this is a very empty corner. Why don't I use the rub-ons there? Well, let me give you an example of what, this is what they looked like when I separated them. So, crap. And then there were some goofy ones that I'm never going to use, so I just chucked that out. Then I tried to, you can see that this one has come off as well. I used two here, and again, they're not perfect, but you know, sometimes postmarks aren't perfect either, so I thought that would be fine. I may get, okay, you can see destination is no good there. part of this has migrated over here, and, you know, stuck to the back of that. So it's just, okay, why did airmail leave behind? You know, so again, I mean, obviously make your own buying decisions, but I know that I'm not spending another nickel on rub-ons because I haven't had any luck, especially with old ones. But I'm not bitter. Okay, so let's carry on here. So basically, you know, I like this pattern. This is a bit of a boo-boo here. So I thought that, okay, I would also, I do a little bit of collaging here as well, just to sort of fill that gap, make it a little more interesting. Maybe I would even let it run around the edge of the paper. And then there was part of, so this is obviously parts that I cut off. And then I thought this could be a tab at the top. So I'm sure you've never seen anybody glue anything before, so I'm going to give you the thrill of a lifetime and do some gluing. I plunged right in without saying welcome, and, or maybe I said welcome, but I didn't say how very much it warms the cockles of my heart to have you here. And I know, especially at this time of year, that there are, you know, dozens of places you could be and things you could be doing that don't involve watching YouTube videos. So, again, really grateful for your presence. Oh, see, this one should, after I burnished it so beautifully. See, there's a bit of a boo-boo there, so I was planning to, I guess this is going to go on top now. Yeah, I hope that you're well. I hope that your shopping, whatever shopping you're doing is you know, not driving you around the bend or putting you in the poorhouse. If you're baking, well, good luck with that. That is not my shtick whatsoever. And maybe you can't see it, but I don't want to risk having it off center. So I found the center, and then I made teeny tiny pencil marks as to where this thing should be centered. So maybe I'll just use the glue stick. And then I know that the entire bit of that pad has been used, and maybe we'll put this side to the front. So I'm going to center it between my two pencil marks, and like so, I guess. That looks, does that look even? And let's just do a quick little erasure so nothing shows. Oh, I said that I had used it all, but this is part of it as well. So that'll be a backing on something else. Now, for now, I think I'm going to call this done. It may at some point get a label or something, but again, oh, or should I use this? Noteworthy. Kind of, those colors kind of work. Or remember. Let's use noteworthy. I think I'm going to, this is how I do it. I just get the point of my knife in there, and you can see that it's just multiple layers that are piled on each other. and I remove as much as I think I need to remove. I could probably go down a little further. Now that also took off the adhesive. And you know, sometimes I'm just left with the top paper, and that's fine. Actually, well, no, I was going to say I could put brads through those holes, but that's probably not a good idea. Oh, noteworthy, that kind of almost is cute because of the notes. Okay, let's quickly glue that down, and we'll call this one done as well. Luckily, my art glitter glue seems to have calmed down a little bit. I had topped up this bottle from my larger one, and it was just so thin and runny and everywhere. It was driving me a bit bonkers. So I'll show you a few other things that I got ready. I did obviously have to dip into a few other things, because as much as I had quite a bit on the table, I certainly did not have enough to completely finish anything. So I had these flashcards, and what I noticed, oh, here's another one. What I noticed is, well, a corner is chopped off. One side is kind of more a matte finish than the other. So I put my decorative elements on the glossier side, thinking that the matte side, you know, a person could write on there if they wanted to. So I'm going to put these aside for the time being. So on this one, and you may remember that I had these bits and pieces of black and white cardstock. So I thought, okay, well, that'll be the basis of what I'm doing here. And I also plucked one, there was only one white tag in this bunch of tags. So I figured, well, let's get on a roll here. Okay, so this was the first one I had done, and I basically didn't want to cover the numbers, so kind of pretty basic there. And then I thought, well, let's make a little teeny tiny pocket. Now I can see putting in a ticket or something there. I briefly toyed with the idea of, you know, breaking down some of these flowers, but you know, none of them really grab me that much. And then the other thing to remember is that if you put too much stuff on something like this, it's not going to be easy to get in and out of a pocket. So I don't know what more I might just, oh, maybe I should use a rub-on, she said sarcastically. If I'm sticking with the black and white, about all I could use is that airplane and that postage stamp. That should be, now there's I hope you guys can see. There is a change in elevation here, because this obviously is thicker than that. So, well, maybe if I separate these further, I have a little more placement options. Okay, let's do this first. And the thing I was using was this. I don't even know what this is. Made in China. I think that's, is that the Memory Keeper's little logo? So let's see what happens when I peel this backing off. If the design is left behind, then I might lose it. So maybe I'll just put this here. I don't have to worry, because this isn't a pocket, so I don't have to worry about you know, things going in and out. Just applying what I hope is pretty even pressure. It seems to want to grab the paper quite readily. So make a liar out of me. Now, again, because I didn't grow up in the card community, I don't know if you're supposed to, you know, protect it afterwards and maybe do some additional burnishing once you've got it down, but I figured that can't hurt. And this may not be the best thing in the world to use either. It doesn't seem to be flaking off, so that's good. So let's get rid of this airplane. Is that going to look dumb? Now it almost feels like I need a third element. Don't really want to introduce another color, although I suppose I could put Fragile on there. What have I got here? I've also got First Class. Or maybe this jet is taking off, so it could be pointed. Or I'll just put it on this part here. Now, if this is not perfect, that will probably be fine because it's going on this patterned background, so, you know, that would disguise it a bit. Okay, what's it going to be? Fragile. It's pretty big. Let's do Fragile. So I, of course, had to throw some straight away because they were already, you know, lifting damaged. I should have used observation. Well, maybe I'll be able to use some of these others up, and then we'll throw it out and never have to think about it again. I wonder, is that going to be too squishy? Again, I don't want to have to go over the... But there, it would be touching that. Maybe I should just put it here. Try to make it straight as compared to the edge. Another thing I pulled, okay, I said I had fabric scraps, and you'll see that in a minute. I also pulled out postage stamps because I have so many, and because they're such gorgeous little miniature works of art. They really add a lot to whatever they are stuck to. Okay, that's not too bad. let me get rid of, let me save this. Am I ever going to use that blue arrow? I don't know. Okay, I'll put that aside. We might have to reach for it again. Okay, so I'll obviously put something in there. Then on this tag, I thought, well, I've got these smallish pieces off this paper. Why don't I just make a couple of pockets? So I will find something to put in there. I would probably also use some black ink around the edge just for a little definition. And of course, if I choose... if I choose to, excuse me, let me take a sip of water. If I choose to introduce another color, I could make sure that my, whatever I put through the grommet matches. What I did on this one was, again, you know, similar, use a vertical element, but this time I made it a pocket and a little pocket again. So I have these books. Is there a fourth? There was a fourth one. Oh yeah, right here. So I thought, well, I never use these. Why don't I use them? So I was looking in this pink book and punched out some options. So I didn't know, like maybe I should just, you know, put this in and let that be something that, you know, person could use if they discover it in a pocket. That looks kind of sweet. Got, you know, the colors repeated there, so that could be fine. Now on these, I didn't know what I was doing, so I have a few things punched out, including this cute little bird. So I don't know if I should look for something, some other small element to put on there, and we will call that done as well. Okay, so that's more on the maroony side. Don't want it to be too big. Here's another bird, essentially the same color, different pose. Sorry if I'm out of frame. I have so much stuff spread everywhere that... that look a bit cheesy, perhaps. Too yellow. Is this white? No, it's not white enough either. Okay, maybe I have to regroup on this one. I don't know that I have anything. I want something very minimal underneath. So maybe just some pure white cheesecloth. And I don't have that within reach. So I'm going to set this aside and have to finish that one later. So I'll add these two to the done pile, wherever that is. Okay, there. There was one pink tag in the bunch. So I thought, well, okay. I love this fabric. There is more to the design. It's got some floral pieces and that orangey color there. Anyway, I'm sticking to the pink here. So I'm going to just quickly glue down this music paper. And this was one of the first things I worked on, so I don't even really have, don't even remember what my plan was in terms of layout, but I do have these few elements here. Oh boy, oh boy. I was going to say, why didn't I... Now, I didn't know if I wanted to keep that ivory part there or not. Maybe that's how that will go. Again, I'm going to take this apart a bit to get rid of some of the bulk, but why didn't I put this under the music? Mind you, I just pulled a couple of threads and it already makes it look less like a cut edge and more like a little raggedy thing. And I don't mind if the little fibers stick beyond the edge of the card. Again, you know, you kind of have to be a bit careful about that because, of course, you know, the movement in and out of a card. Maybe I have to switch this around. Or maybe I want this to go horizontally. Take a bit of that end off. And again, not rocket science. The future of the world does not rely on these decisions. So sometimes you just need to do it and know that it will be fine. Okie dokie. Let's see which side looks a little brighter. I'd say this. I wonder if I want to, you know what, it feels like, where are my good little scissors? It feels like this should maybe be removed. Oh, notice the cleverness of keeping one row of circles there. Okay, so if I do that and that, do I need to do anything with this? Or did I just create an extra scrap where there could have been none? Maybe while I'm pondering that, I'll show you how I, not that this is such a difficult task. I think first of all, I'm going to gently pry that little guy off there. Oh, and it didn't even ruin that, so that's a bonus. Now, sometimes these guys, it's hard to remove them cleanly because they do stick like their lives depended on it. Oh, all of these things are making a liar out of me today. Maybe I put this here. This little guy up here. And this looks very empty down here. I'm sure I don't have two of the same thing here anywhere. What is this? Something different? Or do I put this at the bottom? I just said that the future of humanity does not rest on this decision, and now I'm acting like it does. Okay. I'm going to, I'll just use a glue gun here. Or not a glue gun, a glue stick. Oh. Okay, that's coming up. Sorry, I just made a big mess. I'm going to glue this little guy down. Maybe like so. I'm going to glue this little guy down like so. Again, let's see the right side. I ended up having to go to, maybe I should pull this down a bit and break that little straight line up. Oh, it's probably too late to start the story. I'll leave that for another day. This is crazy. You know, anybody in their right mind would throw this out and move on to the next thing. I guess the operative word being in her right mind. I'm throwing this away. Okay, I'll use art glitter glue. I will glue this baby down. Oh, let me remove this as well. Oh, this one is not coming off well. See, it's almost like kind of for mine. This is what would happen if you tried doing something like this to a marshmallow. I wanted to tell you guys about a video that I watched. This is a few weeks, maybe a month ago. And I'm not sure if you know this woman's channel, follow her or whatever. Wendy Dewar, D-E-W-A-R Hughes. She is Canadian, lives in British Columbia. And, you know, I guess maybe a little bit like me, you know, often talks about things in addition to, you know, the straight crafting goods kind of thing, crafting story. So of course, I have all my subscriptions in this feed that we all get. And, you know, you always check out your favorites. And sometimes, you know, there are more videos than there are hours in the day. So sometimes you stray from your favorites and you, or at least I, you know, click on something based on the title. If the title grabs me, I'll check it out. So anyway, her title was something like, "Stop Acting Like an Old Person." And I thought, well, this has to be good. So now, unfortunately, when I cleaned my desk not so long ago, I threw away that scrap of paper. But it was one of those things where, you know, she was doing some piddly, I don't mean that. Sorry. She was doing some simple project where, you know, it didn't require her attention and it wasn't complicated or anything, because basically she was telling a story and offering these 10 points. And I thought it was telling and it was also hilarious, because I thought, hey, I'm really good. I got my act together, man. And then she'd come up with another one thing. Oh, brother, she's talking about me. So it was really very very interesting. And one of the ones that stuck with me, because I'm guilty of this, and maybe you are too, is one of the points she said is, stop making old people noises. And I thought, well, that's pretty hilarious, because, you know, I think a lot of us do that. It's like if you grunt and groan, you know, then people really appreciate that you're doing something either strenuous or onerous or whatever. So I thought that was funny. And I'm trying to be aware of it. I guess she and her husband sort of made a deal. You know, if they catch the other one doing it, they draw it to their attention and say, stop that. She said, you know, sure, you've got parts that hurt. She says, anyone over the age of 12 has parts that hurt. So stop with the moaning and the groaning. So I thought that was funny. But it's true. Because I think it just feeds into that idea of, oh, I'm so sore, I'm so, you know, stiff, I'm whatever. So I'm going to obviously glue stuff as I'm talking here. These were things that I had pulled aside. Oh, and this paper, these tiny little sheets of paper, I have 4, because of course, if one is good, 4 must be better. Dollarama, $1.25. So these were 100 sheets. What are they, 4x4? 4x4s. So, earth tones, blue, green, maroon, purpley, and then black, gray. So this particular page came out of there. And because it was so thin, I didn't realize that I had yanked 2 out. So now I have 2 sheets that are torn. Anyway, so another thing she said was, you know, don't dress old. And she says, you don't have to be up to the minute. You don't want to be dressing like your grandchildren. But for heaven's sakes, you know, make sure that the clothes you're wearing, you know, fit and are clean. She says, men especially seem to think that they can get away with wearing, you know, old baggy stuff, you know, hanging in the, like she talked about pants hanging in the bum, you know, and so on. I'm thinking, yeah, we've all seen that. And, you know, the flip side of that, too, is you don't want to draw attention to your age by thinking that you can dress like a teenager, because that's equally as ludicrous looking. So I thought that was a good one. She says, don't wear, you know, old people hairdos, haircuts. So that's another legitimate one. You know, I think we probably all know people, women, well, maybe men, but men maybe have fewer choices, that have been wearing the same hairdo for decades. You know, change it up a bit. I'm trying to think what some of the others were. Oh, don't talk about your ailments. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I can see that, because, you know, we probably all know people who, you know, they get the cancer diagnosis and that becomes their the definition of who they are. They are the cancer person, cancer patient, cancer survivor, as opposed to just being so-and-so who happens to have cancer. So we know that what we focus on increases or becomes more prominent in our lives. I don't like the way this is covering up the bottom of that doily. And I should have gotten rid of this sharp edge here. I don't totally agree with her on this point. Like, when a bunch of us get together, I think that there is some, of course, number one, we laugh a lot because, of course, we're all talking about ailments and procedures and tests and whatever. But there's also learning that's going on. You know, whether it is talking about the quest for, you know, finding a doctor, or, you know, comparing meds or whatever. Like, there are certain things that people of a certain age should have done by this point. Like that vaccine, for instance, to prevent shingles. You know, that's a perfect example. You know, people like to, you know, snort and snicker and whatever when they talk about colonoscopies. But hey, it's saving people's lives. So now this is another one of those dimensional things. Let me cover up my glue while I peel this guy back. You know, so I think as long as it's done kind of with a sharing perspective as opposed to, oh, poor me perspective, because we know we can always find people who are worse off than we are. People who are no longer in this world and who died and suffered, you know, at a far too young age. So, you know, it's always good to count one's blessings and keep things in perspective. So I think talking about ailments and poking fun at some of these things that have been perhaps taboo until now, you know, like, ooh, who's going to talk about colonoscopy? You know, they put a camera up your bum. You know, that kind of thing. I think when some of these things stay too secret, too private, too taboo, there's a certain amount of stigma that goes with it, and maybe reluctance for people to go and get the diagnostic test done when in fact they should be. Now this stamp, this is a real stamp, and it's got this bit of brown paper around it. Probably won't be able to get it all off, but I at least want to get rid of that. Oh, maybe I will get it off. I at least wanted to get rid of that straight cut edge there. Whoopsie. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now, what am I going to do about this? I could offset it like so. So I hope that as you see me breaking these things down and putting them, using them in different ways, it makes you think about, you know, whoops, geez, and I have this uncovered, how you can use the same sort of things. Because I guarantee that if you've been buying grab bags of craft supplies at thrift stores, you probably have some of these kinds of things in your drawers or cupboard or wherever that are waiting for your attention as well. And, you know, there's nothing magical about these ingredients that I'm using here. The thing that is holding it all together, though, is the color. Kind of a lumpy part here. get that a little smoother. I should probably use this for a little more staying power. Let's see if I can think of any more of those points. She said, don't blame your age for, you know, inactivity or not taking part in things. Oh, I'm too old. Oh, I can't do that. You know, you know, like, let's not kid ourselves. Quite often the real reason is fear, not age. So, like, own up to those feelings. Oh, I wish I could remember the others because they were so good. You know, keep learning. That's always a good one. And obviously anybody who's a regular YouTube watcher, if you're watching the right content, you know, you got that whole learning one covered. I'm not going to worry about a sentiment at this point, although I do have these and I haven't used any of them. Do we have another one here that we could get rid of today? Favorite. Now I'm just trying to see. That's black. We'll leave this one as again, you know, chances are I would be doing some, is this dirty or why am I? I've raved about this before. Make sure you have one in your craft room. They are little miracle tools. So we'll leave this one for the time being. Oh, you may remember I had that little wood piece and there was this bit of a calendar. Oh, I hope I didn't glue it on crooked. On my table here. So I just randomly picked one of the numbers and glued it onto this little piece of wood. Thinking, oh, it's not that thick. I could probably glue it onto something and it'll be fine. I should probably put a little shading around the edge. So you may remember that there was that little envelope with that teeny weeny little bird die. I could do a little better than that, I guess. So I think, yeah, I managed to glue that on crooked. Oh, well. Okay, so I started covering the envelope. I had a scrap of this really thin brown paper, so I used some of that. I found this doily in a drawer with some scraps. I had that music paper, and so I layered those items on. And I also, in most cases, ran them around the edge. Because it provides some reinforcement. And you know, if you glue right up to the edge of something and then you glue something on the other side, chances are it's going to open up. So I don't know that I'll take time to show you what else. Okay, what is this? I think, oh yeah, there must have been a stamp on here as well. So I was just going to layer a few more items. I found this scrap of fabric. And it seems to me I was planning to stick that on there. Or maybe I'm doing it like so. Boy, that annoys me. I feel like I can't use it. I guess I can always find another number and glue it on. I know you're probably thinking, boy, is she nuts or what? But so this time I should, let's use this 16, but I'm going to cut it a lot closer to the real size. And then hopefully as I hold it up to the light, I'll be able to. Or am I crazy trying to get a 2-digit number on this small square? So if the top thing is straight, let's trim this a little closer. And this a little closer. Let's trim it until it's too narrow. Okay, I think that should be fine. So I'll just quickly put this on here. I wish I would have noticed sooner because that it was crooked. So that is flush there. Let me quickly trim, and it should be obvious if something is wrong. And I can quickly peel it up. That looks better. Okay. So while we let that dry a smidge, I thought I would also use this somehow. Now, I don't have the back covered. But maybe I should. Let's see, in this mauvey book. Because this has kind of a touch of mauve in it. Pinky mauvey. That might be a good one. It's got the dark. Let's just quickly grab that one. Let's see what's happening on this side first. Okay, I'm going to have this, I've lined this up. I can afford to tear as opposed to having a, I'm going to use the tear ruler, save a little bit of time here. I said I'm going to have that against there, so we can do a little tear here as well. Oopsie. That's one way to get a ragged tear. Move the ruler. Okay, so I'll go up to there. Now that isn't enough to, unless I bring this around. Sorry guys, clearly I didn't have everything ready that I needed. Okay, so if I wanted to follow in my same path of having it wrap around the edge slightly, let's fold it on those 3 dots, because when you have a design like this, if you go cockeyed, it is definitely going to be visible. So that would cover there. How will this look on this side? Yeah, it picks up those little tiny dots there. Okay, so that's going to be fine. Now I have a little issue here. So what, let me cover that up. Let me see what else I can use here. Oh, sorry guys. Let's do this. Okay, so I will put a piece of this here. Like so. Then I can put this here like so. Bring that down just enough to cover that, or maybe I should bring it down here. Yeah, let's do that. This will be the last thing I do. Oh, maybe this is the last thing I have ready. How convenient. Anyway, I hope that you are, if you're liking the content that I'm creating and or my take on things, then I hope that you choose to subscribe. I hope that you give me a thumbs up, and I hope that you comment as well, because that's how I get to know you. Then it feels more like an actual interaction instead of me talking into the ether and, you know, hoping that it's being received somewhere. By engaging in conversation with me, it becomes, well, like a conversation. Now, I suppose I could, I have more doily here. I've got things like this too. I haven't done anything with the flap, and I'm not going to make you watch that, but let's go back to this front. I could put this here also. Okay, let's see what's happening on the front. It almost feels like maybe there should be some of this here. You see how one decision leads to another, leads to another? Oh, and I better not forget, excuse me, my little wooden number. I'll try not to bend that until the glue has a bit of a chance to dry. I think I was planning to put that there, but maybe it's not big enough. See how this sort of repeats that color? Sorry. Got a tickle in my throat. Doing that. Maybe this little scrap lives on the desk another day. Now this is probably out of place here. Let me quickly take this apart. Oh, I already got these little bumps mostly off at the back. I've been kind of pleasantly surprised how well that's coming off. Now this is visible, so I will get these guys off here and then just glue that back down. It will still show as a layer because that one is slightly bigger than this one. Okay. Oops. Maybe I could do it upside down. Okie dokie. Line this up. Okay, so if we had this here, typically I wouldn't want a focal point smack dab in the middle like that, but maybe there's no choice this time. Especially since I know you guys didn't bring pajamas, but I can't keep you here all night. How is my little number doing? I guess that helps draw the eye there. That maroon is not very good there. Oh, look, I've got this. Oh. This is why I don't do many of these videos, because it's not that quick. And maybe it doesn't bother you, but I begin to feel guilty. I didn't, yeah, I did. No, I didn't use those birds. Maybe I have to grab another bird. Because, oh, see, this will be perfect. It's got that yellowy thing that will match the doily. You know what? I'm really surprised that I haven't punched all these things out and throw them in a box somewhere. Like, that's my style. Okay, so if we had Maybe this now that this bird is filling that gap, maybe this needs to be down here. Or over here. Ah, I think this is going to be good. Oh, let his tail not extend. And maybe he's looking at that number 16. Okay, but if I'd better put my final patch in here first before I paint myself into a corner. That will be just fine. This, even though it shouldn't be, it looks crooked to me. Glue kind of seeped out through those little tiny holes. And of course, I would probably add something to the back here as well. And I still have to worry about the rest of the flap, but I'm not going to do that right this minute. Okay, let's get our positioning. What did I say? Am I putting this on here? I think for better or worse, this is what I'm doing. And I guess if I feel that, you know, too much is sort of clustered, kind of too close together, then I can always add some other elements later on. And again, sometimes all you need do I not have a scrap off this? That's hard to believe. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, let's glue this guy down. Yeah, sometimes all you need is to have them making just the slightest little contact to tie things together. So just this little intersection of, let me hold this up and see if it's straight. Having that little intersection of those two elements, maybe just the right touch. And, oh, pull his tail in. I can also, now that becomes an unfortunate negative space there. So I'll glue this guy down. I hope this is strong enough. Whoa. And do you see how this calendar background color picks up that music color? Otherwise, that would be a lone element there and kind of disconnected. but because there's a repetition, and the repetition of the doily cover in this guy's breast color, breast feathers, pull that tail in. So I think that is almost going to conclude things for this video. I won't fold this just yet. I will let this all dry. I will, I think I'm going to try to, mind you, you guys should also be following me on Instagram. I mean, maybe that goes without saying, but I'm saying it anyway. I think I'm going to try to use my community tab on my YouTube channel a little more. I innocently asked Carol from the Crinkled Path some questions. Asked her to do a little series because I think I'm not alone in needing some of this help. And so what does she do? She does this short little video and turns it, makes it all about me. That was not what I was expecting, Carol. Anyway, in there she gave me some ideas for using the community page. So, you know, I thought, oh, this is a follow-up to the video I did yesterday. But still, you're probably not going to see all the finished pieces as it is. But if I post some photos on the community page, then you'll know how this turned out, for instance. you know what I mean? Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for sticking it out with me. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.